That was an absolutely wild watch as the Toronto Raptors came out and blitzed the Denver Nuggets as they put up their highest scoring total for points in a quarter in the first 12 minutes of this game. Fred VanVleet also probably had his best outing of the season, facilitating for others, knocking down threes, doing everything you could ask for him out there on the basketball court. And against the top seed in the Western Conference, coming off a losing streak, a lot of Raptors fans were down, weren't expecting a lot coming into this game. The Raptors continue to just give their Raptors fans, give us all a little bit of hope, a little bit of excitement to close out this year, and I'm hoping they're able to ride this momentum after, a tough stretch of games. You can't, you can roast the Raptors all you want. They did have a tough schedule as of late, right? Coming out and bouncing back in the first game back of a road trip against the Denver Nuggets, a team that you had a lead on last week and came back and almost nearly came back in this one as well. The Raptors were able to close it out, even if it looks sketchy at times, even if this game was absolutely a roller coaster to watch. Toronto got the W, and I'm very, very happy to see it. So, the Raptors came out, got the 125-110 W against the Denver Nuggets. Unfortunately, no live stream reaction for this one. Wi-Fi's a little bit shaky at my house, but got to get the video out regardless. And we got to talk about this game tonight because, oh my goodness, it's nice to see us win. I know it's deflating for a lot of Raptors fans. There's, we talked about in recent news videos, fans in the tanking wagon, people in the compete wagon, and no one really knows how to feel at this point in the season, given the fact we're close to 500. We are making some leeway, potentially pushing for the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference, and we go out and we lose 4 straight. Like, that's just... You can't bait us like that, Toronto. If you want the full fan base to be fully on board with one side and the season gets, closer and closer to the end, we're still in the middle of the pack, these opinions get stronger and stronger. But then you have a performance like this that show, hey, if everything's working right, and we still have our flaws in this game, don't get me wrong, but if things are rolling well, right, if we can really have strong performances for most of our starters and have a competent enough bench, a mid-bench coming off of this team, we're not a bad roster. We can really throw our punches with anyone around the league. The big issue with this team has been consistency, whether it be off the bench, whether it be with our shooting, whether it be our rotations with Nick Nurse. But tonight, things really came together for the most part, and it starts off with the beginning of this game. Toronto was absolutely on fire, whether it be Fred, Scotty Barnes driving the lane, OG Anunoby was ridiculous in this game, and the starters just overall in this outing tonight were dumb, right? They were just on fire, cooking, playing as well as you could really ask. Everyone in the starting lineup with the exception of Pascal, who wasn't horrific by any means. He's still in a little bit of a slump, but even though he took 16 shots, it felt like he wasn't ball hogging or anything like that more than he usually does on any given night. But Fred VanVleet is the first guy we do have to address, especially with the hot start and everything that happened, as he had 36 points in this game, 7 assists, 3 steals, 13-22 from the field, 8-12 from the three-point line, and obviously we can't expect this from Fred VanVleet night in, night out, but just having a Fred VanVleet, because his passing, his facilitating has been a lot better since the acquisition of Jakob Poeltl. Good nights, bad nights. Fred VanVleet has been pretty good at facilitating, making some good decisions for this team. The thing that's really killed him, especially in the eyes of Toronto Raptors fans, has been his lack of shooting. His defense has actually also picked up second half of this season here as well. So that was my biggest complaint about Fred in the first half of this year. So, it's not perfect by any means, but the lack of shooting has been Fred's Achilles heel, especially, through the ups and downs of this year. And when he has nights where he is not just solid from the three-point line, where he's getting hot, where he's getting nuclear, right? That's a huge, huge plus to this Raptors team, who has built their team, right? Built their roster around Pascal Siakam, who sure is he can shoot, right? He's improved in that area significantly since his rookie season, but isn't known to be a knockdown three-point shooter. He's better in the mid-range and sort of stuff. And then obviously Scotty Barnes getting a lot of minutes, not that much of a three-point shooter. No G and Gary Trent Jr. having ups and downs over the course of the season. And Jakob Poeltl, newly acquired, I haven't seen him hit a shot outside the key since he's joined the Toronto Raptors. So it's, having Fred VanVleet be able to knock down some shots along with OG Anunoby in this one, right? That's a recipe for success for this Raptors team. And, they came out and Raptors really just blew the lid open the first quarter as, 49 points in the first, a season high against the Denver Nuggets. And That's a great way to come out, especially in a game that feels like it's a must-win, right? If we lose this one against Denver, especially on our home court, right, we're really digging ourselves a hole. The Nuggets, or sorry, the Bulls, the Wizards, they're creeping behind us. Heck, even the Indiana Pacers with Tyrese Halliburton back in the lineup, right? They're nipping at our heels in the standings and the play-in race. So, if the Raptors want to get a little bit of a head lead going and want to catch the Atlanta Hawks and Miami Heat, they really needed this W out here tonight. So they came out with that energy, and looking at OG stats, 24 points, 10 of 14 from the field, 4 of 8 from the three-point line. Really did his thing out there, right? Hit some nice timely shots, but even though it was 10 of 14, even though it was good, almost felt quiet at times. He had a nice dunk over Jokic as well to close out this game, but in the last fourth quarter, as the Raptors made their stretch, he had some nice threes and stuff. But OG, he doesn't do too much out. When he's not doing too much out there on the court, not forcing his game, he can be a really efficient scorer for this team. And, if he could just get a little bit more consistent, have more nights like this, right? More nights like this, it's great to see. And defensively, huge plus. He's able to switch on to guys like Jokic at times and let Jakob Poeltl sort of be that rotational side defender. You can take on guys like Aaron Gordon, whoever they really throw at him, right? And OG defensively brings every single night. The three-point shots are going down. It's a huge plus for this team as well. And we already talked about it, but Scotty Barnes in this one, right? 18 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 8 of 16 from the field. Getting to the bucket and being assertive, right? I feel like the last few games we've seen Scotty Barnes be more aggressive with the shots, right? Be more aggressive with the shot taking, look a little bit more confident out there on the court. So, obviously he's not the number one option by any means, especially when Fred VanVleet's having a night like he did tonight, but was the second leading scorer, or second leading shooter. So got the second most shots in this game for the Toronto Raptors team. So I'm liking Scotty Barnes' increased role as of late. Even though he lost a few of those games, I'm happy to see Scotty Barnes starting to perform well. And even though it doesn't show in the box score, right? Jakob Poeltl, 12 points tonight, 11 rebounds, 5 assists. Not a bad box score by any means. 5-6 from the field. Dealt with some foul trouble in this game, 2 blocks. But, man, his impact is felt out there on the court. Whether he's guarding Jokic, whether he's not, whether he's just out there being a plug around the rim, being a target for Fred VanVleet to drop dimes to in the pick and roll. And even if he's not finishing, he had a couple of really nice finishes tonight. He gets those extra swing passes, right? He gets those passes to the dunkers. Scotty Barnes also made some gorgeous cuts in this game, right? Poeltl was able to hit him. Fred VanVleet's able to hit him, right? And Poeltl's just, Matt Devlin said it on the broadcast, right? One of the most underrated players in the entire NBA. Just everything that he provides out there on the court. And we certainly forgot it, given the fact he was away from the team for years, but I don't know. Having a true center out there that does Marc Gasol-esque things, right? Facilitating the mid post, not going to force his game too much, right? It's very, very much a positive for this Raptors team. So shout out to Jakob Poeltl, man. Shout out to this entire starting unit, right? Pascal Siakam, 12 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. Not a big game, but didn't really have to with everyone else sort of rolling and cooking. But the issues then reside with the bench. And while this was a W, while this was nice for this team, Poeltl was out with foul trouble a little bit. The bench almost let the Denver Nuggets sort of come back into this game. And Chris Boucher, right, 11 minutes, 6 points. I'm not going to bash on the box score that much, the -2, but Precious Achiuwa really not looking too hot right now at this point. Will Barton hasn't been able to have an impact, and obviously 10 minutes of action, 11 minutes of action, 14's not too bad, but it is tough to really get your game going. But, having a little more of a boost, having a little bit more of a kick off the bench would really be useful for this team. But the star boy, Gary Trent Jr., didn't have as abysmal of a game as he did in his last outing, I believe, down in LA. And, hit some shots, just wasn't a complete negative coming off the bench. 11 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals, 3 of 9 from the field. Couldn't hit his 3-point shots, was able to get some buckets otherwise. And look, how many points do we have off the bench tonight? 11, 6, 6, so 23 points off the bench. Like, it's not a lot, right? What is it? It's honest work, but I don't even know the meme at this point. But even just that, with how productive our starting unit has been, we can win games, right? Obviously, we'd love to see Gary Trent Jr. be able to knock down some more shots, right? Be a little bit more assertive. And one of Precious Achiuwa, Chris Boucher, get a few more buckets out there. Will Barton knock down a couple of threes, right? We would like more, But if we could just get this, because the bench has been so bad, this is actually not that horrific of a performance for our bench, given the standards that have been set as of late. So, like, if we could just get this, hold their own relative, Gary Trent Jr. still being a legitimate basketball player when he's getting that limited run, like, that'll be fine. That'll be fine for this Raptors team. Obviously, we need our starting unit to be a little more consistent. Obviously, Pascal didn't have the greatest performance tonight, and then everyone else stepped up, but if we can just get this performance from our bench, it's not asking a lot, folks. It's not asking too much out there, right? The Raptors can definitely win some games to close out this season. And, it's a tough spot right now. I didn't screen grab the standings at this point, but the Raptors still in the middle of the play-in picture, right? They're trying to make their push in the Eastern Conference, and they still have a tough schedule to sort of close this out. So we'll see what ends up happening with this Toronto Raptors team. But overall, nice W. They were able to hold the MVP, the two-time MVP, Nikola Jokic, to 28 points, 7 assists, 8 rebounds. It felt like a quiet game, but Jokic still had a big performance in this one. Jamal Murray definitely didn't have the same outing he did the other week in Denver, but I don't know. Jokic, especially with these losses, the emergence of Joel Embiid, the Bucks becoming the first seed, probably is playing his way out of the MVP race, it feels like at this point, rather than, a few weeks ago, it felt like he was kind of locked to get it going again, even though he did have a bit monster stat line against us. But folks, let me know what you guys think about the Toronto Raptors at this point. I know it's a weird part of the season. We lose a bunch of games. We have a massive win like this. I'm feeling good about after this W, but I want to know what you guys are feeling in this one. But you guys are the best for making this far. Subscribe to the Raptors side just if you haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.